Ξεκινάμε. Για να μπορείς να πηγαίνεις ακόμα πιο γρήγορα.
Να ζεις περισσότερα. Να κρατάνε περισσότερο αυτά που μετράνε.
Να μπορείς να αλλάξεις ό,τι θα έμενε πάντα ίδιο.
Γι' αυτό η δύναμη της οπτικής ίνας πρέπει να βρίσκεται όπου είσαι κι εσύ.
Από τη μία άκρη της Ελλάδας ως την άλλη.
Η φαντασία σου να είναι ελεύθερη, να ταξιδεύει παντού.
Οι ακόμα πιο γρήγορες ταχύτητες μας πηγαίνουν όλους ακόμα πιο μπροστά.
Αυτό πιστεύουμε στην Κοσμοτέ. Γι' αυτό αναβαθμίζουμε τη χώρα επεκτείνοντας το δίκτυο Κοσμοτέ Fiber. Μέχρι το τέλος του έτους φέρνουμε την οπτική ίνα σε 1 εκατομμύριο σπίτια και επιχειρήσεις και ως το τέλος του 2027 στα 2 τρίτα της Ελλάδας. Γιατί ένας κόσμος πιο γρήγορος για όλους είναι ένας κόσμος καλύτερος για όλους.
Ξεκινήσαμε και μέχρι να φέρουμε την οπτική ίνα και σε σένα, αναβαθμίζουμε από τώρα την ταχύτητα του ίντερνετ εντελώς δωρεάν, για να πηγαίνεις κι εσύ ακόμα πιο γρήγορα.
Είμαστε οι αγκαλιές που έχουμε πάρει και οι ιστορίες που μας διηγήθηκαν. Είμαστε φτιαγμένοι από το γάλα που έχουμε πιει. Εδώ και 70 χρόνια μεγαλώνουμε με ό,τι καλύτερο έχει να μας δώσει η Δέλτα. Και σήμερα φέρνει το καθημερινά φρέσκο. Το γάλα που ξεχωρίζει για τη γεύση και τη φρεσκάδα του σε νέα πρακτική συσκευασία. Είμαστε φτιαγμένοι από γάλα. Είμαστε φτιαγμένοι από Δέλτα.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to start by showing how grateful I am for the opportunity to not only to address this event, but also to listen to the many very interesting interventions that have been made during the course of the day. On behalf of the Vice President, Mrs. Šuica, whom you heard in the video message earlier, but also on behalf of the European Commission, because in fact I'm very encouraged by what I've heard today, primarily for two reasons. One, because I see the level of engagement that you have in Greece for these very important, very significant issues linked to demographic change. And secondly, because I see that the issues that you are most interested in are the ones which we are placing as a priority in our work at the European level. Now, of course, many of the issues that have been mentioned are issues where there isn't a specific competence at the European level. The competence lies at the national, sometimes even at the regional or the local level. But in reality, when this portfolio of demography was created for the first time ever during this mandate of the European Commission, the reason was that there is a realization that this demographic change, this transition that Europe is going through, is presenting a number of challenges which are common to all. Of course, there are some member states, there are some regions which are affected more than others, but in reality, there is not a single region which is not in one way or another affected by one or other impact of demographic change. And you heard the Vice President mention some of the initiatives that we have launched, starting with the report on demographic change in 2020, which we are now in the process of updating. We've had a green paper on aging. We've had a long-term vision on rural areas. And this is one topic which, of course, is also of great interest to you here in Greece, because we are looking at rural areas beyond agriculture and not looking at rural areas as being only the places where farming is going on, but where many other things, where many other activities can also be encouraged and be stimulated. We have upcoming work which is dealing with care, and this is something that was mentioned in this preceding panel, where care is something that, of course, there's childcare, but there's also care of the elderly, there's care of the disabled, and in an aging population, of course, the care of elderly becomes something very very imminent, something where there is a great demand. We're seeing increasingly, for example, that in many parts of Europe, there was a mention of the fact of the villages where families decide to have another child because the grandmother can help out in raising the child. But of course, one of the impacts of aging is that grandmother is likely to have an elderly parent who is still alive and whom she is also looking after. And therefore, we need to make sure that this structure of care that is available is one that is accessible, one that is affordable, and one that is really able to meet with the needs that are required. We're also working on an initiative on brain drain and depopulation, which was also mentioned in the preceding panel, and was mentioned in many of the other interventions during the course of the morning, in fact. This is a phenomenon which is impacting many of the member states in Eastern and Southern Europe. But in fact, we tend to think that this is something impacting only, let's say, the less prosperous parts of Europe. But in reality, we can see that even countries like Germany, like France, they also are experiencing depopulation and brain drain, because you have a tendency of young people, very often the brightest, the best young people, who are moving away from rural areas and moving to the cities. And these create demographic deserts in part of even these more prosperous member states. So what we are trying to do at the European level is to look across the board and to see what experience there is in the different member states. We want to learn how different member states are tackling these problems, so that we can help others to learn from the experience of other member states. We're trying to set standards to make sure that if, for instance, in the context of care or in the context of various other aspects of demographic change, that there are minimum guarantees for families, for citizens, to be able to ensure that they can have the best prospects available in life. And perhaps one last word referring to the Conference on the Future of Europe, which has just ended, and which Vice President Šuica referred to in her address. Many of these issues came up spontaneously during the debates on the future of Europe, because we had panels of randomly selected citizens who were asked to discuss all sorts of topics, of issues, but many of the things that they kept returning to were these issues which are of great concern to them. And in fact, this has also helped us to put these issues at the very top of the European agenda. And while we say very frequently that the priorities of this European mandate at the moment are the green and the digital transitions, we're all very much aware of the fact that there is another transition, a less visible transition, which is going on, which is the demographic transition. And unless we are able to address these demographic changes in the appropriate way, there is no way that we can hope to achieve the targets of the green and the digital transition. So once again, I really want to thank you for how encouraging the message that I hear coming out of this event today, because it shows that we have interlocutors at the national and at the regional level with whom we can work to try to not only raise awareness on these issues, but also to find long-lasting solutions to them. Thank you very, very much.